Hello, hello, hello. How are you all doing? I'm TH Pine. I'm your community manager. Ask me anything. Yeah, welcome to Community Hours. Sorry for the awkward start. I was actually reading a message. Should have done that before transitioning scenes, I guess. So yeah, welcome to Community Hours, our weekly community show for due process. I'm TH Pine, your community manager, and I'm gonna answer a few questions if you have any, and then we'll probably go play a game or two, depending on the time. How was your day? Well, my day. My day was pretty good, I'd say. Got a bunch of things done. Not as much as yesterday, but I'm making progress with my work, which is important, obviously. It's freaking cold. Like, it's really, really cold all of a sudden. Like, since yesterday, I guess. It got really, really freaking cold here in Germany. All of a sudden, like the temperatures dropped like 10 or no more, actually, like 15 to 20 degrees. It's crazy. We had like minus 12 this morning, I believe. So that was something. Like, considering that we had like +5 to +10 over the weekend. How do you personally and the devs feel about the state of the game right now? It depends on... So the game... How do I answer this? Let me put it this way. Let me actually scroll up a little bit, because I made a post earlier today in Discord. I think I can use this as an answer here, somewhat. So basically, we think the game is obviously a great game. I mean, that's why we're making it, right? But there are definitely some areas that need improving, and those need improving in order for A, new players actually sticking with the game, and B, long-term veterans not eventually leaving the game as well, like keeping the game on a competitive level interesting in the long run, but also making it interesting for the casual crowd that's stopping by every day or multiple times a week. And then we got a bunch of feedback from the last few months since we released, and we categorized and prioritized it. And our top priorities right now are basically 4 things, with another thing following. Well, let me just go through the 4 things. So the the two most frequent complaints in the past, especially around release, were performance and gunplay. So those are 2 of our absolute top priorities right now: getting the performance, getting performance improvements, and improving gunplay. So as you know, Gunplay 2.0 is around the corner. So that's good. Performance, the next performance update, or significant performance updates, probably still a bit out. We will see how fast the progress is going on that one. Also, those performance optimizations will hopefully come with improvements to the networking as well. If not, then we'll have to investigate and see if we can do more for a more stable network situation as well, or environment. So those are two big priorities right now: performance optimization and gameplay. But gameplay is basically done. We need to finish up the other stuff so we can ship it. Basically, it's blocked with the matchmaking stuff. Speaking of, the third priority right now is getting matchmaking to a less frustrating state, because well, there are multiple issues with matchmaking. One is, the biggest probably is that matches are not very fair, because players are like, the skill levels in the match are a little bit like, the discrepancies in skill levels are too big. That's an issue that we cannot completely solve without having a way bigger player base, but we can at least mitigate it with a few things. First of all, it would be nice to get the veterans, and especially the 5 stacks, to play ranked instead of casual. Well, the new players will be playing casual and not getting completely stomped, at least. So that's why we're working on the simultaneous ranked queue stuff right now, which is around the corner as well. And yeah, that's pretty significant because it allows ranked matches to actually form. But we realized that there are also other things, like the ranked system itself, like the ranked games itself have some issues, like joining in progress in a ranked match, for example, is not great. Things like that, and a few other more egregious stuff as well. So the ranked game mode itself needs an update. Also, there are a few things in the casual game mode that could be improved. Like, it could be, the matchmaker could maybe be tuned to look a little bit more on skill and less on, or like just be a bit more patient. Right now it's going really quick usually, and just match whoever is around. But again, like, we cannot get perfectly even matches with the current player base. We just need more people to make that get even close to that goal. But there are like a lot of casual matches are also like 1v4 or stuff like that, at least at the start, and that needs to be resolved. And we have some plans for that to prevent situations like that. Yeah, that's for matchmaking. So that's another thing we're working right now and is huge improvements to that are around the corner. And then probably the biggest one, well, not the biggest one, all of those are really big, but this is not the biggest one. It's not what I wanted to say. Like, it's the one that most people don't even realize is an issue, is that new players usually don't find the core of the game. They just don't find it because they never get into the situation. Like, the game is the most fun if you coordinate with your team. You make a plan, you coordinate, you execute the plan, and you succeed. Well, you not necessarily succeed, but you execute the plan together, and preferably at least it is at least somewhat successful and not a complete disaster. This is the core loop you have to actually experience to understand what the game is about. If you never get in a situation because your team doesn't plan, you do not coordinate with your team or communicate with your team, or you don't follow up on the execution, then you'll never. Then Due Process is just not a great game. Like, if you just play it as a shooter, just like a team deathmatch, then it's just not like, there are better team deathmatch shooters out there than Due Process. That's also, by the way, for people asking about a battle royale. Due Process wouldn't be a good battle royale. Like, later down the line, sure, it would be fun to add some more less competitive game modes, like a team, like a free for all or a battle royale or whatever, or something with respawns, just to, like, for people who are playing a lot of Due Process already, to give them the ability to relax a little bit and play a bit more of a casual game mode, or more fun game mode. Just some, not more fun, that's the wrong word, but more well, yeah, relaxing, I guess. More like a little bit of diversity. But that's like a tiny, that's not a big priority, because to make that worthwhile, the game needs to be a huge success already. So yeah, we're not quite there yet. But that distracted me. I actually wanted to say that people need to encounter or experience this core game loop, like the core of the game, the core fun of the game. Because if they never do that, then they don't understand why the game is actually good. And so we need people to make plans and coordinate with their team. And that's what the icon system that's coming up is all about, and the planning overhaul is all about. So those are the things that are being worked on in that regard. So those are the 4 top priorities. Together with that, and that comes to ties nicely in the question that is scrolled off screen already. But together with that, we will have new content because, and here's the kicker, making the game better doesn't grow it. Making the game better doesn't bring people into the game. It doesn't get people back that left. It doesn't get new people in. That's not how this works. It lets making the game better lets people stay around, like stay with the game and not leave. It makes people not leave. What gets people into the game is new content. Especially getting people back into the game is easier with new content. So alongside those 4 priorities to improve the game, we're working on new content like the new tile set, and then the defender economy to add more, to have an easy way to add more utility or guns or whatever to the defender side. So that's the 5th thing that's coming with that. And then there are obviously a few other things that are a little bit, like they're still important, but a little bit lower in priority. One of those is having some sort of progression, like a progression system. And for progression system, basically, no, I'm not sponsored by Pepsi. Yeah, it would be nice to get sponsored, I guess. We need some pie and soda here. Sorry, I got distracted by chat. I actually hate when streamers do that, so I should probably not interrupt myself mid-sentence just because I read something in chat. But I know now why streamers always do that. But yeah, I want some pie and soda. Maybe we can get some merch. I actually want to get pie and soda, just like make some, like, I don't know, some... I would prefer Coke, but I also would be okay with energy drink or whatever. Or just lemonade, like some soda, and make it a bit of pie and soda. If I can buy that one day, that would be amazing. Any plans to optimize the game for weaker rigs? Yeah, I just talked about that. That's basically our main priority right now, or one of the 4 main priorities. Back to what I was saying, other things that are important but not top priority is progression system. And first step for that will be the ranked overhaul, like making ranked, like the ranked system actually rewarding in a sense, not rewarding in a sense that you actually gain anything. You will not get, like, to actually give you stuff like cosmetics, we need the customization system in, which is hard, lots of work. But for ranked, you could at least, like, we want at least to, like, create nice ranks with shiny animations and explosions and fireworks or whatever you want to make it rewarding that you actually do good in ranked and getting your elo up, and then you get a higher rank than your friends and can brag with that. So that will be the first step in that regard. And later down the line, obviously, we want to have a proper, like, customization system that will be tied into a progression system in some way. Is there an ETA for enabling player collision for enemies? Not really. I mean, it's something we have talked about. It might, like we tried in the past, cause some issues, mainly with teammates though, so it's not out of the picture, not out of the question that it comes one day, but it's not a priority right now. So I'm getting distracted again. What I was saying, yeah, those are the things that need fixing. And there are 2 more things I want to say. So for the growing strategy, as I said, content is what gets people in. Making the game better is what keeps them around. So the name of the game is basically coming for the content, staying for the improvements. That's our goal. That's the strategy. in regards to growing. So when we drop new content, we combo it with the marketing push, people will come for the new content, and then, hey, game's actually better, they stick around. Cool. That's the plan. So yeah, basically, if you're thinking concurrent player-based graph, it will always be like spike. Well, how is this about best for you? Spike going down, spike going down, spike going down. But every spike will increase it will drop. Will drop less than the last time. So the baseline is going up. That's the goal, obviously. cannot guarantee that, but that's the plan. Because every time we do a new promotion push or a free weekend or whatever, or a sale, we get a new spike, and the game got better since the last time, so more people stick around. That's the goal. And maybe at some point we hit that tipping point where the community is actually growing itself. But that's really hard. Might work someday, but we'll see when the game is actually released or something. So the other thing I want to say, because a lot of people are asking for quality of life features and bug fixes and stuff like that, because the game can be a bit jank in places, and we understand the value of that, and if things are very egregious, we will touch them. But let's be honest here, these kind of things are not super high priority. It depends obviously on it's a case by case basis, right? Some things are important and they need to get fixed if they're very frustrating, but it's just quality of life or making things a little nicer or a little bit more competitive. Probably not worth it, because if you look at other games, when people actually experience the core fun of a game and realize, hey, it's cool, then they don't fucking care. Sorry for the swear, but they don't care if the game is jank. If the game is fun, it can be jank. Problem is, people don't find the fun in the game right now, or a lot of people don't. A lot of people do, that's why you're all around still. But a lot of people don't, and that's why the player base is not amazing right now. So, make people experience the core fun of the game, and focus the big issues, or the big pain points, and if we have the big things out of the way, then we can look into making the game more competitive, shipping a bunch of quality of life things, fixing a number of minor bugs and stuff like that, and just polish the game up. So that's the thing. So and people who think, hey, the game is fun already, yeah, it is. But most people don't know that because they never experience it, because they don't freaking communicate. And that's what all of that is about. Anyway, that was a long answer to basically 2 questions that were asked. So a bunch of stuff got scrolled off the screen. I'm just gonna pick stuff I've seen now. So are there gonna be tons of fixes with Weapon Field 2.0? No. Well, a bunch, but a few actually. We have the lighting fix coming with Weapon Field 2.0. We have hit markers reduced. That's kind of a fix, right? Killhouse walls actually getting their proper thickness. That's a fix. Shotguns getting their actually working as intended now. That's a fix. So wallbangs are not getting removed. They're getting nerfed. Okay. Wallbang sounds removed. Yeah. Jank keeps people away and drives current players away. No, that's just not true. Look at other games. It's not true. Look at DayZ, for example. It's a great example. It's not true. If the core game is fun, the game can be junk as frick. Even optimization performance is not relevant. It's just not true. It's true in a long sense. It's not completely wrong. I know where you're coming from. To get people play the game for a long time, to make it competitive and stuff like that, jank needs to go away. And it also, obviously, there's some, it's not completely false. I was exaggerating. But, Tarkov is another good example. Armor as well, right? Those are good examples. Thanks for helping out. Jank keeps a few people away. That's true. A few people will come into the game, see, oh, it's jank, it's running like shit. Well, not running like shit anymore, honestly, but it's not running as good as they expected because they expect 300 frames because it has apparently N64 graphics, which it doesn't, by the way, but you get the idea. People are thinking because we have a retro art style, it should run amazingly. And honestly speaking, it should be running better than it is right now, but it's not completely in the gutter right now. So yeah, some people will be driven off by that, but that's actually the minority of people. If they actually experience the core fun of the game, it doesn't matter. For most people, that is. So, yeah. Okay, so a bunch of questions got scroll screen. Please just put them up again. I mean, I can scroll up and try to find them, but... Is there a timeline for when the game will leave early access? I mean, I think... Let me check if the store page still says the thing I think it says. Let me double check before I say anything stupid, but... Approximately how long will this game be in early access? We'd like to graduate due process from early access to a full 1.0 release within 6 to 8 months. And we released in November, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. So that's still kind of the goal. We'll see if that's enough time. Basically, we kind of want to get customization. Like, if you look at the roadmap, we want to have the main points on that, including customization being done for 1.0. Can crouching be slowed down? You mean like less movement speed? Is that an issue right now? Weapon 2.0 release date was one of the questions. If there is a thing we've learned from, like, that's obviously something that like usually should be common knowledge if you're like in the gaming scene around, but even we learned it the hard way. There's no value, or there's almost no value, there's some value, but there's very minor value in committing to public timelines to an ETA or whatever. It has some value because it makes people happy that they actually get a commitment, but it's a huge risk because, well, if you don't fulfill that announcement or that timeline, then you have a big shitstorm on your door, and people are very disappointed. So Weapon 2.0 will be released when we have finished the work on the matchmaking update, because unfortunately all of that got bundled together or merged together due to technical reasons, and matchmaking is blocking everything else right now, which is why we didn't have an update since mid-December, I think, except for maps, which is, by the way, I just want to point that out, not intentional. That's not what we wanted. It was an unfortunate situation that occurred. I'm not going to go into the details, but basically stuff has been like, people started working on the matchmaking stuff and they needed to merge it with other stuff because otherwise they had to redo all of, like, technical reasons. It doesn't really matter, but basically stuff got intermangled, is that a word? Like, stuff got connected, and a bunch of things cannot release without matchmaking being released, and matchmaking needs to be completed and finished before we can release it. So it's blocking everything else right now, which is a bit annoying because Gunplay 2.0 is basically done. Lighting fix is basically done. Yeah, but it's coming soon. Sorry, it's a Syntiam. I know you hate it. Do we all? We all do. But as I said, there's I'm not allowed, and I also don't think it's a good idea to commit to any public timelines or schedules. I can tell you so much that we have internal deadlines or targets rather, and it's not too far out. But yeah, you never know how long it actually takes in the end. It's software development. It's not just software development, it's game development, and game dev is hard. It's unpredictable. Well, it's not unpredictable, but it's hard to predict time frames, and it's just the reality of things. Unfortunately, I would love to give you a date. Like, I would love to tell you when it's coming around, but it would be a dumb idea. I'm sorry. When it's finished, just say it will be ready a month later and then release it anyway, or what? Intertwined. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Geo. Sometimes I'm stumbling over my language barrier. I think he means how fast you move from standing to crouch. Oh yeah, so you cannot crouch spam and stuff like that. I would like that, honestly, personally. It's those kind of things I would put, like, my suggestion is put them into the gameplay feedback channel. Preferably at the time when Vince is around. So PST time zone. I know he monitors that. So he's the one who's making that decision. I personally would like it, but I'm not sure what Vince's stance is on that. And by the way, for the people in the unknown, Vince is our lead game designer. Not the creative director, that's Bart, but lead game designer. So he's responsible for all the balancing stuff, like crouch speed, gun damage, recoil, you name it. Are you able to tell us if the game is planned to go on sale for the upcoming Lunar New Year's sale on Steam? That's another thing, Blabsap. Companies, for good reason, never ever announce sales. It doesn't make sense. But I can tell you so much. There will be frequent sales in the future. I cannot say you if the Lunar sale will be one of them, but there will be frequent sales and there will be frequent promotion thingies and free weekends and whatever. We have plans for that. Like, we're not going in that, like, we have stuff scheduled and planned out for the upcoming months or whatever, and we're planning on these things. These are taken into consideration. Just have to be patient with that. We cannot share that. I love transparency, and I think, and we think as a company that transparency is very important, because it builds trust and a connection to the community, which is, for an early access game, extremely valuable. But there are certain topics that just don't make sense to be transparent about, because they come back and bite you in the butt later down the line. So I love to share with you our general goals and plans, reasons behind our decisions or priorities, like all of that stuff. A-okay, I can share all of that, and I love to share that if it helps you, if it interests you, if that builds trust and helps with transparency. So that's why this show exists. But I will not commit to any specific dates or talk about sales or whatever, stuff like that. Bart is in charge of ideas and Vince is in charge of the numbers. I mean, it's an oversimplification, but it's pretty accurate, kind of. Yeah, it's not a bad way to put it. In reality, obviously, they work together very closely. But yeah, generally speaking, that's a good summary. Can you talk a little bit about the game designer's history and FP experience so we have an idea of their approach and background? A little bit. So I can try to touch on that a little bit, but I'm not super qualified in talking about that because I know these guys a little bit, but I don't know all their backgrounds and stuff. But what I would suggest, like, if you want to spend the time, there's a 3-hour VOD where I ask questions to Bart, our creative director, and you can learn a lot about his, like, there's especially a specific question about how the studio, one of the, like, it was somewhere at the start, there are time stamps in the video. Like, one of the questions was like, how was the studio funded or something like that, and he talks about how they got together and what's their background and stuff like that. So especially that question, but in general, that VOD will help you a lot with understanding how Bart thinks and how Bart runs this company. And it's not a one-man show, but he's obviously the driving factor here. So a lot of the views and sentiments he makes in that VOD are shared by a lot of other people in the company, because if not, they would not be in the same company, right? That just makes sense. You get people around you that share the same goals, visions, and stuff like that. So I know Bard, for example, I think he played Armor in the past, but he also he liked the old Rainbow Six games. What's the tank, and he's not playing Wars? Is he? No, not Warzone. What's the other one he's playing? I forgot. These are not the kind of games I play, so I'm not super familiar with them. He's not playing the big one. Is it Warzone? War Thunder. That's the one. Thanks, C3. Yeah. He likes he likes playing airplanes, flying around in War Thunder. I know he does that. But yeah, for shooters, he played Rainbow Six back in the days and stuff like that. And also plays Tarkov, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah. Gamer can play the game, but they maybe don't know how to make it. I'm not quite sure in reference to what that is, but the sentiment is very true. Basically, if you're looking at talks from game designers and stuff like that about how do you handle community feedback, the sentiment is usually listen to their concerns and figure out what they think or what their pain points are, what are they annoyed by, what do they dislike. But don't listen to their solutions. Gamers don't know what they want. And that's obviously a generalization, but generally speaking, that's kind of true. Most people don't have a good sense of game design. Don't distract. Finish your sentence. So yeah, a lot of people don't have a good idea from game design, which is fine. Gamers don't need to be good game designers. Their feedback is very valuable in the sense of do they like the game? What do they like? What do they dislike? What are they getting annoyed by? But most people are not capable of coming up with good solutions. It's still worth it to throw them in. That's actually one of the things Bard encourage people to do: throw in suggestions and stuff, because they can trigger creativity. They can work as an inspiration. In a way, so it's still valuable to just throw your ideas out. But don't expect everything to just get in eventually. And I think to come back to the other thing, what Blabzap just linked, let me click it actually, but I think that's the DigiPen. Yeah, that's actually a very good resource to learn about the dev team. That's a very good link. Good ideas, Blabzap. That's basically a lot of the developers are coming from DigiPen, and they made an interview, created an interview, or wrote an article about the company recently. So that's a very good suggestion for figuring out what the background is and how people in a company think and what their approaches are. What are your favorite games other than Due Process? Gunpoint, obviously. That makes sense, right? That's where my avatar comes from. Richard Conway, protagonist of Gunpoint. Great game. What do I personally like to play? I recently discovered Slapshot Rebound. Great game. I love that one. Besides that, I like a lot of factory games. I like Factorio, Infinifactory. In general, everything Zachtronics. I'm a thinker guy. I'm playing thinky games usually. I like deck building games, roguelites. What's the one I recently discovered which is really cool? Scorchbringer. That's cool. That's a fun one. That's not so much thinky, but it's a nice little action game. Have you seen Dyson Sphere Program? I have seen it. It's on my wish list. Also, Satisfactory is on my wish list. Never bought it so far, but one day. So I always was interested in getting into tactical shooters like Counter-Strike and stuff like that, but I was always I never did it because of the one reason why I'm actually into Process. Because of you have to learn so much stuff. For Rainbow, when Rainbow Six Siege released, I played that for a month or so, and then realized I just okay, I'm now comfortable playing on house, but there are 12 more maps that are twice the size of House, I'm never gonna be comfortable playing in this game. Like I'm just not like I'm an adult, right? I'm a father of two, and I have a job. I cannot spend, and I have other hobbies as well besides playing video games. Actually, still game related usually, but not necessarily just video games. So I cannot spend hundreds of hours of my time playing video games, and I also dislike like learning maps and stuff. That's just not a thing I like. That's the main reason I never got into Counter-Strike, for example, because I was like, to get good at, like, to get to the interesting part of Counter-Strike, which is like coordinating with your team, making plans and strategies and pulling them off. You need to like learn all the meta, and also you need to like learn, like in Counter-Strike, you need to learn so many, like you need to shoot at walls for hours, basically, and those are things I never liked. So that's why I personally never played many shooters, which unfortunately means my aim is pretty mediocre. I'm actually started training with AimLab recently, a few weeks ago, and at least in AimLab my score is going up. I'm not sure how much that actually translates into the game, but in AimLab I have some progress. So I hope that's good. I don't know. I hope you tried Slay the Spire. I did. I liked it. It's not... I think I don't like it as much as a lot of other people, but I definitely enjoyed it. I have some criticisms for that game. It's not really criticisms. It's more like personal, like things I personally don't like that much about it, but overall it's like I played it a lot. Like let me check how much did I play it. Well, let's see. Slay the Spire, played that for 68 hours actually. That's a lot for me. So yeah, I guess I enjoyed it quite a bit. So yeah, back in the days I played a lot of MOBAs, played a lot of League of Legends and Strife and stuff like that, and the original Dota. That's how I got into MOBAs. So I like these. I either like thinky single player games, or like a few. There are also like I either like to play these thinky games or like small scale action games, like something simple, like One Finger Death Punch, for example, is a great game to play on the side. Slapshot Rebound is, well, that's not a single player game, but Scorchbringer, for example, or here I played the other one, the popular one, not Hades, that's on my wish list, a few months ago. What's it called? The roguelite, the action roguelite where that did go big. Damn it, Dead Cells. I enjoyed Dead Cells a bit. So that's the stuff I play. Or I play competitive games like MOBAs and now do Process, Slapshot Rebound, because that's fun. I'm terrible at it, but yeah, I never got into Risk of Rain. That never looked appealing to me. It's probably because I don't like the art style very much, honestly, but that's personal preference, obviously. Why is there no collision for enemy players? Talked about this earlier. This might be a thing we bring back eventually. We'll see about that. I can't really give a finite answer on this one. Will the attack economy be eventually changed? We have no plans of changing it. I cannot rule it out. Maybe someday, but we don't like right now. We're happy with what the attack economy. How the attack economy works and what kind of gameplay it brings. So, oh yeah, another kind of games I like is pinball games. Like not regular pinball, but everything that's pinball related. You probably don't know these, but Yoku's Island Express is great. Rollers of the Realm was really fun. I wish that niche genre would be bigger. There are not many games in that genre, and most of them are pretty bad. But those two are good examples. So those are pinball adventures, basically. I mean, Yoku is really a pinball Metroidvania, as weird as it sounds. And Rollers of the Realm is more of a pinball RPG. But yeah, I enjoyed those games. What's else in my recommendation? Like I have a category on Steam which I called recommendations. I can just go down the list really quick. Anti-Camber, A Short Hike, Braid, Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, Dead Cells, Door Kickers, great game. Duskers, amazing game. Evolution, it's a good board game actually. Exapunk, Zechtronics. Victorio, Frozen Synapse, that's cool. FTL, obviously. Gunpoint, Heat Signature, by the same dev as Gunpoint. Infinifactory, as I mentioned earlier. Invisible Ink, I always enjoyed that one. It's a really cool tactics game. Ironclad Tactics, again, Zechtronics. I'm probably the only person that likes that game. Well, not the only one. Kingdom Classic, that was actually a fun one, interestingly enough. Limelight is a ridiculously underrated game. You probably never heard of it. It's very minimalistic. It's an amazing casual puzzle game. It's brilliant. It's freaking brilliant. I can't even describe why. Magica was a fun game. I liked Mirror's Edge. Moloch Sintas, Zechtronics again. Mr. Shifty is one of those really fast-paced mini-action games I like. One Finger Death Punch, same. Opus Magnum, Zechtronics again. Overcooked, because I love co-op chaos. Pony Island was a cool one. Portal and Portal 2, obviously. I enjoyed a lot Pyre, in my opinion. Pyre is one of the best games ever. If you never played that. Recursed, you probably don't know that one. That's the most insane puzzle game I've ever played. Recursed, check it out. It's about rooms that are in, like, chests. It's a 2D game, right? And there are chests. But chests are rooms, so you can jump into a chest and it's a room. And then you can pick up a chest and move it around, and you can bring it with you. And you can even put it into another chest. It's ridiculous. It's the most insane puzzle game I've ever played. It's really good. Rios is a fun game. Lords of the Realms, I mentioned. Ronin, that was one of the other funny action games. Shapes.io is a cool, a little bit different styled, like it's a factory game with a bit different approach than most other factory games. Shenzhen.io, Zechtronics again. Space Food Truck is a digital card board game, a pretty cool one. TS 100, again, Zechtronics. XCOM, Enemy Unknown was a good one, and Yoku's Island Express. This is just the titles I someday put in my recommendations category on Steam. I should probably put Due Process in there. Why is Due Process not in there? That makes no sense. Weird. Okay, so enough about what I like to play. What else is what other questions are here? There was a game that got discontinued called Gigantic. I played that. I liked that. That was fun. But I never made it. Did you know? I recently found out that the studio that made Gigantic makes a new game, and it looks exactly the same as Gigantic without the giants though. But like the art style and it's a third-person MOBA with basically a very similar art style. Like they're just doing it again. I think it's not the same studio. It's the same people who founded a new studio or something like that. It's pretty. I forgot what it's named though. I forgot what it's called. Subpine, how's Gunplay 2.0 going? Well, it's coming. It's coming. We talked about that earlier. They're actually rebuilding Gigantic? I think it's a different game, but it's definitely inspired by Gigantic, I guess. Forgot the name. You probably have it if you're talking about it like that. What was the name of that game? What's the best competitive game in your opinion? Well, how do you define that? Like, what do you mean by that? What is the factor for being competitive? Are you looking for a competitive game and then the best one, because that's highly subjective, or are you looking for the most competitive game? Esports competitive. I mean, yeah, still, what is that? What makes a game a good esport? Project Stamina, yeah, that's the one. Chess is the best competitive game. I played chess, actually. Bullet chess, though, so you have 1 minute on the clock. It's pretty crazy. It's my toilet game. Well, how I like to call these games a dump game. No, not dump. What's the word? No, yeah, dump. A dump game. A game I like to play while taking a dump. It's a category I invented when I made regular videos, because I was like always like, hey, this game is kind of fun. Does it have a mobile version? Because it would be a great dump game, but it's not something I find worthwhile playing on my computer. I wish there would be more dump games, actually, because I've played a lot of PC games that would be great to play while sitting on a toilet. But it sounds so bad. I'm sorry, but it's true. Like, it's not necessarily sitting on a toilet. When you're somewhere on your phone, you have a few minutes to spare and you want to do something that's interesting. For me, that's usually on the toilet. So I'm sorry. Dump Process. No, Due Process is not a great dump game, not at all. But it's so many times I found a game like, oh, that would be great for these occasions, and I found out it's PC only. I'm like, hey, the game is not, like, it's too simple, it's too short-lived for me to be considered worthwhile playing on the computer. But depends on your setup. I guess you can have a PC on your toilet. Yeah. Well, let's change topic maybe. So what was the question? Like, what's a good esports game? I don't know. Like, it depends on what you're looking for. I think Due Process will make a decent esport one day, because it has a very competitive nature, which is proven by the fact that this community has created a competitive scene very early on in the life cycle of this game, and it's still going strong. Has the team identified? No, don't do this. Finish one topic, then go to the next one. So, right now, Due Process is not a great competitive game because it's not great for the viewers. I think it's great to, like, obviously it's not polished enough to be amazingly competitive, but the core is there. There are obviously right now games that are more pleasant to watch and also more competitive, quote unquote. I mean, look at what's popular, right? League of Legends, Counter-Strike, Rainbow Six Siege, stuff like that. Valorant, right now, upcoming. Has the team identified the performance issues? Yeah, I talked about that at the start. It's one of our biggest priorities. It's being worked on. With the planning update, will it not have defenders will get with their... So with the planning update, it will not have the defenders will get with their defender economy for the attackers. What? I can't understand that sentence. Please rephrase. Scrolling up, looking for questions. Is this your full-time job? Okay, I don't want to go too much into detail, not because it's secret or whatever, just because it's not interesting. But basically, when I got hired, which is May last year, I had my main job, and being community manager for GAG was my side job, basically. Since then, I got another child, and now my main job is, so to speak, being a parent. And being community manager is still my side job. But what this means is that I have more time for my side job. So it got a bit more of my main job right now. But I'm also spending a lot of time with being a father because my wife is working. Let me scroll up a little bit. I actually read most of this. When will the mob become a 50 bullet full automatic gun with same damage? Go away, man. Go away. I think I catch most questions. Or there were some at the start, I believe, that I might have missed. Because I was talking about priorities. How much percent is the game done, would you say? Was one of the other questions. That's an interesting question. I'm really not in a position to answer that. It's also hard, like it's hard to answer in general because when is the game, what is actually done? When is it actually done? Like if this is, like competitive games, like have this nature of never being done. They're always getting updates. But I guess you could consider it being like 1.0 at some point. And But that was more a question for Bard, really, like what he considers being done, I guess. Why are they making toxic goo in factory? I mean, it's a goo factory. There's there's not a there might actually be an official reason, but nothing that is disclosed. I know that Axum likes to think that this is the toxic that goes into dirty bombs. So it's basically a bomb factory, quote unquote. Not bombs, like they're not creating bombs, but they're creating the stuff that goes into the bombs. So that's why it's getting nuked by the defenders. Random question, will the tracers always be blue for attacker guns and red for defender guns, even when you steal a gun? Yeah, I think that's intentional and will not change, probably. Will we always get a cool update trailer like in the winter update? Oh, we're trying to make trailers for new stuff, yes. Probably not for everything, but... It's just scrolling. I think I got most of the questions, actually. Yep. So if the goo in factory is being bombed by bombers, we eco-terrorists then? I mean, it's not like there's one big group of crims. I think there are multiple organizations with different goals, so to speak. So some of them might be eco-terrorists. Who knows? Okay, any more questions? Oh yeah, you wanted to rephrase your question. Will the defender economy be, again, too many words. Will the defender economy be giving them something new for their updates? Will the planning update be the same for the attack? I'm still not understanding the question. Are you asking? They're all like explosions so far. Yeah, that's true. They have that in common. They're like big bombs. So if you're asking if the attackers are getting the same economy system as the defenders, then the answer is no. If you're asking something else, you have to rephrase again. I'm sorry. Can you talk a bit more about the type of content you envision could help grow the player base? So at the start of the stream, I actually talked about this quite a bit. There are two, but I can touch a little bit more on the content side of it, because I touched on, like, basically to sum it up, what I said earlier is like you need to make the game better to keep people sticking around, and you need new content to get people to check it out. So you people coming for the new content, staying for the improvements. That's the goal. And I talked a lot about the improvements. I can talk a little bit more about content. So obviously new tile sets. One is actually pretty close, and more are in the works. That's the biggest one, obviously, at least for now. Then when we have the defender economy, that opens the possibilities up to just throw more stuff at defender wall, or not necessarily at the wall, because the current economy will change it a little bit how that works. But it will allow us to add more defender guns and utilities to the game. So I cannot confirm anything specific there, but there will be more guns, there will be more utilities, stuff like that. And then we eventually also want to bring back the card and the shield and the suppressors, obviously. I guess suppressors actually coming earlier than the other two, probably, because they're easier. Card and shield are hard, but they will become back eventually as well. So he's asking if that defenders get something Oh wait, clearly I'm not proofreading my shit. Will the planning update be a platform for the attackers to receive updates? No. Kind of like how the defender economy will be given. No, not at all. Planning update has nothing to do with the attacker specifically. It does, well, it has something for them specifically, but not like changing how they're getting their, choosing their gear, I guess. Yeah, I mean, planning overhaul is like, what update is a bunch of things. It's basically like a bunch of things that are coming in combination with or in regards to supplement the icon system, basically, or not necessarily supplement, but synergize with the icon system, which is coming before the planning update because it's very valuable on its own already. But there will be more stuff that basically we want to eliminate or reduce the matches or the rounds where players spawn into the map without having a plan. So we want to encourage and incentivize and give you opportunity to actually come up with a plan with your team, and so you can experience the core fun of the game. So no, it will not change or touch at all like the attacker economy. That's not what this is about. It's more about how you. It's not changing the gameplay. In fact, it's just a bunch of. Well, some of it will actually change the gameplay, I think. Should not speak too soon, but it's not about how you choose your utility or whatever. I cannot go more in detail about that, unfortunately, because that question actually came up in the Q&A with Bart, and the question was, what does the planning update entail? And then he started talking in length about the icon system, because that's something we are comfortable with sharing right now, but we're not super comfortable with sharing all the other things that are coming with the planning update, which is connected to the icon update, to the icon system, because those are not finalized yet, and we don't want to talk about these things in detail without being sure they're actually coming or coming in the way we're with envisioning them right now, because things tend to change. But yeah, the goal is to make sure you actually have a plan when you get into the match, get into the map. Will shotguns have silence access? No, I don't think so. At least I didn't had them in the past. Would be weird. I have an idea for the attacker economy that will give an ability to add more content for the attackers without breaking the balance, but it's a bit hard to explain. Well, here's the thing. We probably don't need an attack economy, at least not in the near future. Maybe way late down the line. But for now, it also has to fit, a super varied, given the attackers the ability to choose from 20 different guns doesn't really fit their playstyle, neither gameplay-wise nor aesthetically speaking. So while we probably will add more stuff eventually, it's not needed anytime soon, because even if we add, let's say we add another gun. If you look at the wall for in the truck right now, you have how many AP25s? And how many Black Tars? Well, Black Tars not too many actually, but how many AP25s? Like a lot of them. Replacing a few of those with another gun, that's easy. We don't need an economy system for that. Same goes for hey, we can replace a few flashbangs with something else. That's without breaking the game. That's easy. So probably not needed, but if you have a cool idea, feel free to write it, get it into words, lengthy if it is. I'm sorry. If you have a cool idea for a system, feel free to write it down and put it in the suggestions channel in Discord. Does the planning overhaul icons consider looted items from the opposing team? You're asking if you can place items that are not from the enemy team. So can attackers place a Molotov icon, for example? I'm not sure if the current iteration is, but it definitely is supposed to do that eventually. I think the current iteration does that already, but I'm really scared to actually 100% confirm that right now. That's definitely a thing we want to that will be considered eventually. I'm not quite sure if this will be in the first iteration though, but I think so. At least last time I heard about it. Roomba claymores. Bart talked about Roomba claymores, the Roomba Boomba, in the Q&A. Probably not a Roomba claymore, but maybe the Roomba can be used for something else that's cool and tactically interesting. Can you comment on the amount of support and patience Annapurna Games has with the future growth of the game? Difficult topic. Talking about publisher relations is like a big no-go. But overall, we're pretty happy with like they give us a lot of freedom. Let's put it that way, and that's cool. Like they're not intervening with, or they're not like forcing us to like they're not changing the game like its core and stuff like that. Like obviously they have some input because they're the publisher, they're giving them money, right? But it's like they give us a lot of freedom. They have trust in us as a studio, and yeah. So we're pretty happy with the situation, like with the publisher. What's future plans for marketing? I touched on it earlier. We have tons of plans for sales, advertisements, promotions, free weekends, stuff like that. And it will always be comboed with new content. And between those pushes, we will improve the game. So I think it's the third time I say it today. The goal is to have people coming in for the new content and then staying for the improvements. I'm getting paid to say this. I mean, that's not untrue. Like, honestly, like you can't, like, you would, like, no. Yeah, no, we're happy with the publisher. And that's a fact. They give us a lot of freedom, as I said. But yeah, like, that's a question you, like, even if that would not be the case, I would not be able to answer that differently. But it I can assure you that we're happy with it. But yeah, this is like, I don't know. I don't have a good example, but it's a weird question to ask, because even like if we would not be happy with them, it would be the dumbest thing to publicly state. So like it would be pretty dumb to do that. So yeah. But as I said, we're actually happy with them. So you're just gonna have to trust me on that. All right. Any more questions? Oh, I forgot to open Steam Chat. I mean, it's not like anyone ever uses it, but I like to have it open regardless. Because sometimes someone types something in there, and then I don't see it. I would be very sad. Can you talk about the roadmap the dev team has in place for supporting esports tournaments? I mean, we have a roadmap. I don't. It has one point on it that's relevant for esports tournaments, and that's the first-person spectator mode, which is actually not too far out. I'm super excited. Right, let me use that. If you're talking about our plans to support the esports scene or push this game as an esport, our plan in general for that topic is we're not gonna push the game in that direction. Like, we're gonna support the community, and at least not for now. Might change in the future, who knows? But for now, we're not gonna push the game and like make our own official league or whatever. If the community does that, and it does, then we're gonna support that and help them as much as we can. But yeah, that's up to the community. Like, we don't have plans to push the game in that direction. It's also not quite ready yet for that, I'd say. Like, there's a competitive scene, so the game can be played competitively, but DPL, for a good reason, avoids having a prize pool right now. Like, it's not great to like play a for a big prize pool when the game changes significantly every few months and have the tendency to come up with game-breaking bugs in finals, which never happened in the past before. No, certainly not. Don't give me nightmares and backflash. Like, still getting PSTD from that. Like, the game tends to have like these once in a lifetime bugs at the worst possible moments. Let's put it that way. But yeah, we're gonna support the community in endeavors to make this game an esport, sure, but we're not gonna push that ourselves. Just like one of the reasons is we don't really have the resources for that, but we also don't think it's a good idea. Like, I think the competitive scene is super important for the game right now. I think it's DPL is one of the reasons this game is actually still has an active player base. Not the only reason, but it's like it helps a lot significantly. So I think having having a competitive scene is important, but forcing one would probably not help and probably create like a different effect, like a negative effect actually. And also we don't want to spend resources on that right now. We want to spend our resources, and that goes for money, but also for workforce, on improving the game and shipping new content, and not spending any resources of our very limited resources. I have to add, we're still a small studio. We cannot even afford to do anything in that regard. So we're very, very grateful that the community does that, and we also think that's the right way to do it. Like, if the community wants to do it, then they do it, and they do it to the extent they want to do it, and we don't push that further, but we help them obviously with that as much as we can. So what direction does the dev team want the game to go in, other than just growth? That is, you mean like, I mean, if it becomes an esport, great. If it becomes a game people like to play with their friends, also great. There's no like, the goal is actually like one of the core goals. It sounds a little cheesy maybe, but one of the core goals really is to like, one of the high level goals, I guess, is to make people find friends. As cheesy as that sounds, but we want you to find other people you enjoy playing the game with, and have fun with them. So experience the core fun of the game, right? This game is all about communicating with other people, forming a plan, and then executing on it together. This game is all about teamwork, about playing with others. And so this is the goal, really. And if that happens in a competitive environment, awesome. And I think that makes sense because the game is inherently competitive in its nature. But if it's just people playing in the evening to chill out, awesome. Like, there's no direction we want to force the game into. Is there any plan to add a movement penalty when getting shot, or do you guys like fast movement speed? We actually had that in the past. I'm not sure if it got actively removed or if it just never made it through the network refactor. I think the latter. What I'm saying is, it might come back in the future, maybe. But I don't know what Vince's current like what Vince's perspective is on that right now. But there is a chance of it coming back. Communication, find new people, work with them, have a good time around the game. Yeah, that's the goal, really. Your answer is the opposite of what Activision said about Overwatch 2. Interesting. What did they say about Overwatch 2? Do they want to make it the big esports? I mean, for a bigger company, that's also a more viable goal. But still, then I find it... I mean, it makes sense at a certain point for the development studio or the publisher to make it an official, like make an official league or whatever, like that has some value, but you have to be very careful with that. Great, I opened Steam chat and it did not connect. Why did I even open it? So yeah, to touch a little bit more on that, the game is about, as I said, about coordinating and making plans. Like the core goal really is make a game where you have to make a plan with your teammates. That's the core thing. I mean, and then execute it. But like really, this is all the game is about. Like everything is focused on that one thing, and everything else is like surrounding that and supporting that idea. Like we want you to make plans. The game is about making there's a reason why the tagline, like the unofficial one, but the unofficial tagline is make plans, shoot mans, right? This game is all about making plans. That's the core design goal. And yeah, I didn't like the idea that they put so much effort into being a competitive game, talking about Activision and Overwatch 2, I assume. So the game is only bounced around the pros for a while there for that Overwatch thing. And I mean, balancing is a completely different, like it's a tough beast, because like when it comes to balancing is really hard because in most games, most competitive games, because you have to balance differently for different audiences, right? You have or for different skill levels, I should say, which is hard. And basically what you have to do is to make sure that nothing is broken on any skill level, if possible. Like I when it comes to that topic, I like to look at MOBAs because I played a lot of MOBAs in the past, so I can use them as a good example. But basically in a MOBA, you have lots of different heroes, right? And you want to make sure that none of those heroes is broken on any skill level, because if they are, they're just going to stop. Like if there's a hero that's completely broken on a low skill level, then it's a big noob stomper and will the game very unfun for a lot of noobs. If a hero is completely broken on a competitive level, but maybe not maybe not as good or just balanced on a low skill level, then it's gonna stomp the competitive scene, which is arguably even worse. Well, probably not worse, but is also not good. So you have to basically balance everything so that everything is like hopefully most or as much as possible is viable at every different skill level. A lot of things are hopefully viable, but nothing is broken in the sense of being overpowered. And that's actually a hard problem to solve. So yeah, but if you're focusing too much on one side of the skill spectrum, then you're screwing over the other side, which can be an issue. And yeah, if you're pushing your game to be a big esports title, then you're probably focusing on the competitive side. And if you're overdoing that, it's potentially risky because you might leave the others behind, like the lower skill players behind. What's your profit margin so far, and can you predict what your increase in player base will be in the next year? Okay, so we cannot talk about profit margin, obviously. And predictions of player bases are really hard, so sorry. Asking to determine when to predict a higher player count. I mean, what I can say is we're doing fine financially. We're not going bankrupt anytime soon. Player base, as I said earlier, like the goal is to have frequent marketing push comboed with new content updates, and in the meantime, like between those pushes, improve the game so people stick around. Balancing in any game is a continuous process that never ends. It's kind of cool in a way. The game keeps evolving. Yeah, I mean, it's true. I don't actually think that it never ends. Like if you add more stuff, obviously it never ends. But in most games, there's actually if you would stop adding new features to the game, it would eventually you would eventually come to a point where it's balanced. Not for all games, not true for all games, because like there's basically you could come up, like if you simplify it extremely, but like if you could come up in a situation where you're playing rock paper scissors, but the meta shifts from one side to like from one to the other, right? How do I explain this? Like this is obviously oversimplified, but in a way more complex sense. Let's say, like 50% of the player base like to play rock, and because that's the meta right now, so that's more than 33%. And then you start making paper stronger, right? So you push paper, so then people move over to paper, so it gets balanced out. Then eventually they realize, oh, paper is actually super strong. And now you start making scissors stronger or paper weaker, whatever. And like that can cause an endless cycle potentially. But for most games, I think that's actually, you could actually find a like there's a finite amount of balancing you have to do. But it takes a while to get there because the player base also evolves and learns. Like games are complex. Like if you're thinking from a game theory perspective, games are very, very complex. There's a lot of things, and the community has to learn over years of iteration. For example, is actually Counter-Strike, is that still getting balance changes? Because I would assume no, but I'm not sure. I'm not keeping up with the Counter-Strike scene. Well, you could do what Siege does, only focus on the pro scene and not care about what the community wants. Yeah, you could, but it's dangerous. Invest in giant enemy crab. Yeah, sure. We're not a publicly traded company, unfortunately. Well, no, fortunately, honestly, but unfortunately in the sense that you cannot invest in us. Balance for the games are super important. I wanted Overwatch just to be a fun game. I guess I'm more in favor of a chaotic game than teetering around small numbers. I mean, yeah, there are different preferences, right? People are looking for different things in different games. So it's hard to keep everyone happy. It's a very complex problem to solve. Hey, when the next offer improve? Yeah, I assume you're talking about the sale. I said earlier, like soon. I cannot disclose sale dates. Like, sorry. Do we know when we will hear back on a partner program? Should be very soon. What's today? We have Wednesday, right? What did Smith said? Like, I asked Smith about that. Should be this week. If nothing gets, like, maybe Smith is gonna be busy with other stuff, but the plan was to get new people in this week. If all staff for this game have the same mindset as you, then marketing won't be that big of an issue because networking will do its job and aid you guys in marketing. Well, thank you. Not quite sure what you're referring to exactly with that, but I take it as a compliment. Hi, I was wondering if you still get 2 keys after buying the game. Do you? No, that's like that deal is long gone, very long, multiple months at this point. But while you're here, please. Why do you think that's still a thing? Like, where's the information coming from? Because I would like to find sources of that rumor still being spread around. I also can touch on it a little bit more. We would like to do that. We would like to extend that offer. What we would love to do would be to sell 5-packs, because this game is played in groups of 5s, right? So it would totally make sense to sell it in 5-packs. But Steam changed their policy and I don't want to do that anymore. So blame Valve. Networking, word of mouth. Yeah, I understand that, but I'm like, I guess I know what you want to say. Or I know what you're referring to. I watched a video a while ago. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, there's still old videos around that mention it, obviously. So I guess that, yeah, that's what I assume, that's most where people are coming from. Like, that's where most people are getting that information from. Yeah, no, that's actually not a thing anymore. Coyote, what was your question? Oh, when you hear back on a partner program? The plan was this week. If nothing gets in the way, it should be very soon. So are there going to be discounts soon? Yes. Steam no longer selling packs, too many codes floating around being resold. Yeah, I think that's their intention with that. They want to get rid of those gray market key resellers. So they really don't like packs anymore. Like a few games will still sell packs, but basically just games that did it in the past, they will keep that feature for legacy reasons, but new games don't get that anymore. I wonder if you could create a pack of Steam keys on another store like Green Man or Humble Bundle. Probably, maybe. Might be worth investigating, actually. Because as I said, we would love to sell five packs. No, sure. I should stop drinking caffeine now. Or I'll never sleep. Make bundles for streamers. What do you mean by that? So they can give them away, they purchase and give away. We just give keys to streamers for giveaways. But it's the same issue. We cannot sell bundles. Like, it's the same thing. We cannot sell packs. We're not allowed to. But for streamers, they can become our partners, like we purchase partners, and we give them keys for giveaways. So it's one of the perks. Have a great evening. You too, Coyote. We spent half the stream talking about other games. I mean, that's fine. I think I answered all the questions about the game. And this stream is, yeah, it's supposed to be a QA session about the process, but it's also supposed to just be like kind of a chill stream where we talk about stuff. And if you ask questions or want to ask questions that are more like personally about me, that's cool. Steam chat still failed to connect. Well, great. How am I supposed to... Like, I'm sorry to the people who are watching on Steam, the 0 people that are probably watching on Steam and trying to ask questions. I'm trying. I'm trying. But Steam just says unable to load chat or something like that. It's weird. I mean, now it's looking good, but I think the message pops up after a while. What I miss? A bunch of stuff, I think. So what time is it? I should probably end the stream here and go to bed. Due process 2 when? We'll see about that. I mean, to give you a serious answer, these kind of games tend to don't get successors because like there's no League of Legends 2, right? Because League of Legends is still around. Like, instead of making a new game, you just update the old one. One more before I go. How many players do you think we need to have living ranked servers? I feel like ranked has so much potential. Okay, we need a few more players for sure. But what should help a lot with it is the feature that's being worked on right now and is around the corner, which is the simultaneous rank queuing, because it allows you to search for a ranked match while playing casual. The main issue with the current system is that you can search for casual and ranked at the same time, but if you don't immediately find a ranked match, you'll be in a casual, and then you cannot find a ranked match anymore. So you will have people that want to play ranked, but they also don't want to sit around for 10 minutes and do nothing. So they eventually end up in a casual match. Then a few other people come around that also want to play ranked, and they can't play ranked either because the other people who would be willing to play ranked against them are in a casual match now. So simultaneous rank queuing, I think, will be a huge help in that regard. So I honestly think we will get way more. We will get a bunch of ranked matches just just based on that feature at prime time at least. Like, obviously not during low peak hours, but during prime time. And if we combo that, like if we combo that with the next marketing push, we will see a bunch of ranked matches. My prediction. Rainbow Six Siege 2, Overwatch 2. I think Overwatch 2 is actually a thing they're working on. Is that true? Due Process 2, but it's just big GTA with cops and robbers. I mean, we were joking about like car chases during through procedurally generated cities. That's a common joke around here. So. Like, it's a Due Process MMO would actually be super cool. Like, you have a Crims, like you have two factions, and the Crims are like setting up their heists and stuff, and the Argus security officers are like reacting to or responding to incidents. That would actually be a fun concept. It would be hard to actually come up with a good design concept, like in detail, but the idea is fun, definitely. It's a glorified expansion, that's PvE. Right, that's what Overwatch 2 is. Yeah, I remember now. True. I'm not keeping up with Overwatch. It's like, I tried playing Overwatch. It's not my cup of tea at all. It's just like I don't like these. How do you call those? Like these kind of shooters, like Overwatch and like games like Quake, stuff like that. These arcade shooters. No, that's not the right term. But like these high movement shooters, I guess. I don't like those. I'm not a personal fan of that. I want a map where there's a hidden photo of Pion on it. Sure, Marbles. Maybe one day. Would be weird, but Due Process 2, but it's just a Dread movie adaptation. I mean, that's Due Process 1. Due Process 2, when Grimm's attack. Oh no. Who's this handsome guy? I'm not sure it's Pion. No, it's definitely not Pion. I don't know who this guy is. I've no idea. Hi, Omerta. Hero shooters? Movement shooters. Yeah, that's the term. I'm fine with hero shooters, conceptually. But movement shooters are not my cup of tea at all. And also, like shooters where you have to track, like where the main aim mode is tracking. Not my cup of tea. Like I don't need like super low TTK, but it should not be like multiple seconds. Due Process MMO reminds me of APB Reloaded. I never played that. Procedurally generated open world. Yeah. Wait, how do you regenerate it though? Like, does it change? Or do people have different open worlds? I mean, a single player that would work, but it's still weird. Tribes 2, Tribes Ascend. Oh yeah, those are movement shooters, right? Yeah. Those are not no. These I would never play these games. I think they're good. Like from what I've heard, Tribes games are actually amazing, but not my cup of tea at all. Like this is not. No. Like I have an interest in tactical shooters, but not this kind of stuff. 200 kilometers per hour movement speed on individual player models. Yeah, that's crazy. I saw a few videos about Tribes Ascend, I believe, when it released. It's that game is nuts. I would like if I would stop playing this, I would stop so fast. I mean, I would probably somewhat enjoy the movement actually, but shooting in that game would be my bane. Why did the terrorists put a timer on the bomb? Why not blow it right away? I mean, I actually have an answer to that I can't give you because it would probably spoil something. Oh yeah, projectile-based weapons with 200 kilometer per hour movement speed. Like, how do you even? That blows my mind. Crappy programmers, like they programmed the bomb badly. That makes sense. That's a good reason. Hey, sorry, I can't like. I set up the software for the bomb, but I had to use this third-party tool from this public library, and it has a dependency on a timer from this other company, and I can't get rid of that. So, but I found a good workaround. We can just put the timer on 2 minutes, and that works. If it goes lower than that, then the package is actually unstable due to a security issue. So if you go lower than that, then it will probably not work. But if we put on a 2-minute timer, it's totally fine. Probably something along those lines. Why not just remote detonate? Yeah. Players try to explain, otherwise I can't sleep. Nah. I'm sorry. You'll have to stay up. Who's pinging me, by the way? Yeah, I really can't. Like, I don't think that's something Bart wants to be shared. Like, it's an idea he has for a feature that would tie into that. And I don't want to... I mean, it's not even like... I think it ties into that. It was just like a thought I have. So, high-end writing lore. Nah, probably not. I'm not a good writer, I believe. I'm also not good with coming up with ideas. Like, I'm good or decent at iterating on ideas. I'm not good with coming up with completely fresh stuff. All right. Good talk, y'all. Thanks for the good questions and stuff. I think we had some interesting conversations. I hope you enjoyed it too. Why is Survivor guy not coming to the streams anymore? I want to talk to him about tic-tac-toe theory again. Are you gonna finish your Pepsi tomorrow? Probably not. I would assume Monday next week. Again, Steam chat unable to join chat. What? Unable to join chat. Why are you doing this, Steam? How am I supposed to answer questions from Steam chat now? Not that there would be any, but you know, there could be someone. I mean, we have someone on YouTube who's asking questions. I wish the Restream chat would also support Steam chat. That would be cool. All right. I think we're good to wrap it up here. Not playing a game today. It's getting too late. You ask too many questions. Oh, not too many. It's good. I think it's actually more worthwhile you asking questions and answering them instead of me playing the game. Also, yeah. So, Swedish fish or gummy bears? What is Swedish fish? Like literally fish from Sweden? Is that like something special? I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of gummy bears. I also don't eat fish though, usually. I mean, sometimes, but usually not. It's a candy. Okay, I have to look it up. Swedish fish. Like, I'm just trying to reduce the amount of animal products in my daily life. That includes fish. I never saw these Swedish fish. I mean, I guess they're gummy bears in a sense. So the answer is neither. My son, however, he likes gummy bears a lot. They're like gummy bears, but harder to chew. Okay. Is that an American thing? Probably. Like snacks and candies are like one of these things that are majorly different in different countries, which is always fascinating to me. Like, it seems to be a very cultural thing. How to become an epic gamer? Play epically, I guess. All right, let's wrap this up. We're gonna raid a small streamer. Okay, so we have one more stream this week, another dev team practice tomorrow at 2:30 PSD. And then we'll be back with our regular schedule next week as usual. Is next week the one we swap? No, the week after that. Yeah, in the week after that, 22nd, 23rd, we'll have mixed making map teams again. So Monday will be Smith and Axum, and Tuesday will be me and Sandwich. But that's still 2 weeks out, so next week will be regular. So yeah, thanks everyone for coming by. This was Community Hours, our weekly question and answers show with me, TH Pine, your community manager. Sometimes I have guests. Today I didn't, but probably we will have guests again in the future. I hope you enjoyed your time. Thanks a lot for your questions and for the good conversation. I had a lot of fun. So hope to see you in game more next week, and say hello to Muknam Dong is his name. That's a questionable name, mister, but he's streaming to Process. So say hello to him. Thanks a lot for watching. Have fun and see you next time.
One, I'm sleeping at 39. This is one, I'm sleeping at 39. Frank.